football season right around the corner, and drafts coming up in the next few weeks as well. But here's a few tight ends that I think are going to be busts this season. The first guy is Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots. Henry, he's already banged up with a shoulder injury, and he's going to miss a couple weeks. Reports came out early last week, but he still might be possible here for week 1 versus the Miami Dolphins. But right now, he's a player I'm just going to avoid, like I mentioned in those videos, tight ends to avoid. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. And I think he's going to be a bust this season. Now he's in New England. Cam Newton or Mac Jones obviously going to be the starting quarterback. And either way, throwing the football, that's a downgrade in my opinion from Justin Herbert. And let's think about it. Cam Newton, he's going to take a lot of those goal line possessions for himself and running in. And I think Hunter Henry's just not going to have a great season. I know he's only going 10th to the 12th round range, but with Jonnu Smith over there as well, Henry's injury history and him already injured, he's a guy that I think is going to be a bust. Last season with the Chargers, 60 catches, 613 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And this season they're projecting him 615 yards and 5 touchdowns, so pretty much the same numbers. But right here, Hunter Henry, he's a player I can't trust, and he's a player at the tight end position. I think that's going to be a bust this season. The next tight end's Tyler Higbee of the Los Angeles Rams. So Higbee last season, it was a down year for him, no doubt about it, where 2019 he had a top 5 finish in fantasy points for tight ends. And last year, only 44 catches, 521 yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns with a 2-point conversion. So he's going anywhere from the 5th to the 7th round range right now. And I think that's way too early for Tyler Higbee. And if fantasy owners want to jump out quick in their leagues and go get him that early in the drafts, that's not going to work out in my opinion. I don't think he's going to put up huge numbers. I think similar numbers like last season again, even though it's a little bit of an upgraded quarterback from Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford this offseason. But Tyler Higbee, he was so inconsistent last year. He only had 1 or 2 great games really, and this season I could see the same thing for him. There's lots of feet over there in Los Angeles. You got Cooper Kupp, you got Robert Woods obviously, Darrell Henderson I think is going to have a big season, and you also got Deshaun Jackson, even though he's another guy who's never healthy, as a good deep ball threat as well in that offense. So right here, this Ram team's locked and loaded, and I just don't think Tyler Higbee's going to have the big season, especially where he's getting drafted like everyone figures this year. So I think he's going to be a bust. The next tight end is Austin Hooper of the Cleveland Browns. So Austin Hooper, a lot of hype around him, and a lot of coaches over there in Cleveland think he's going to have a big season. So Hooper last year, he was banged up and he missed multiple weeks last year after signing a big contract in the offseason with the Browns. He had a great year a few seasons ago with the Atlanta Falcons, but last year with Cleveland, 46 catches, 435 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The Browns here, they like a lot of intermediate and short route runners, and obviously Odell Beckham's back in the mix as well, and still have Jarvis Landry. And right now, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, they're going to be a big part of the offense. So Austin Hooper, I could see him having a few weeks where he's going to play well and do good things for fantasy owners. And right now, he's going anywhere from the 11th to the 13th round in most fantasy drafts, where I think there's still decent value, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Hooper only have 450 to 500 yards, or maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns on the season, and that's not going to be big numbers, and that's not going to be really a game changer at the tight end position. So I think those type of numbers, once again, we'll see from Hooper, and I think he's going to be a tight end that's going to be a bust this season. I could be wrong, but I just don't see many guys contributing and having huge fantasy seasons this year for the Cleveland Browns, besides Nick Chubb, in my opinion. The next tight end I think is going to be a bust is Evan Ingram of the New York Giants. So Evan Ingram here, I said to avoid him as well in fantasy drafts, and he's going the same thing as Hooper, anywhere from the 11th to the 13th round. But right here, Kyle Rudolph's in town. He's definitely going to take some snaps, and he's definitely going to take some red zone targets as well from Evan Ingram. That's Kyle Rudolph's specialty, and he's still a tight end that could go vertical and down the field. And let's be real, Evan Ingram, the last couple of years, he definitely hasn't done enough to really garner much fantasy value. Last season, 63 catches, 654 receiving yards, decent numbers in those aspects, but only 1 touchdown. And right here, Daniel Jones, I don't think is the answer for the New York Giants. We've seen him over the last few seasons not contribute or do much and be a turnover machine. for this Giant team. So right here, Evan Ingram on the season, they're projecting him nothing special as well once again. About 670 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I don't think those numbers are eye-popping. And I think he's going to be a bust. I think the Giants, they're going to run this offense more through Saquon Barkley and try to force feed Kenny Golladay and Darius Slayton, in my opinion. But as a whole, I don't think this Giant offense is going to be that explosive, even though they got a few good playmakers. But still, I don't think Evan Ingram will be that great at tight end this season. And the fifth and final tight end bust I have this year, Adam Trautman of the New Orleans Saints. So Trautman, he's going in fantasy drafts as well in the 11th round to 13th round range. And right here, he's got a lot of hype around him coming into the season. And a lot of people have him as a breakout tight end and a guy who's going to have a big season. But in my opinion, I just don't see it. Even if Jameis Winston is going to be the starter, I think we're going to see a lot of the wide receivers and Alvin Kamara get tons of catches and tons of work this season in the Saint offense. And we're going to see Taysom Hill coming into the games as well with a lot of wildcat, a lot of misdirections, and a lot of unorthodox play calling by Sean Payton. So I don't think Trautman's going to have a good year. And like I mentioned, a lot of hype around him. And last season, I know he wasn't the starting tight end over there in New Orleans. It was Cook who left to go to the Chargers. But last year, only 15 catches, 171 yards, and a touchdown. So I don't think Adam Trautman's the answer. And I think with all the hype, he's definitely going to be a bust this season. So that's a few tight ends I think are going to be busts here in the upcoming 2021 fantasy football and NFL season.